Walk into any social gathering, and you'll find a room fueled by specific release valves. We use a drink to blunt a hard day, or a smoke to carve out a moment of quiet. In a world of constant sensory overload, these substances serve as mandatory tools for managing daily stress. This reliance isn't new. For generations, these chemicals have acted as the primary social glue. These vintage records show how cocktails and cigarette machines were once seamlessly integrated into the very fabric of our shared public life. But the rhythm of the room breaks when someone refuses to participate. By simply standing outside the cycle of consumption, the abstainer introduces a subtle, persistent friction into the environment. Because they aren't participating in the doing, society often labels them by what they are not. We call them boring or uptight, dismissing their choice as a passive lack of personality. Choosing to remain present while everyone else numbs themselves requires an active psychological effort. It means navigating a social landscape without the protective filters most people consider essential. To understand the difficulty of that choice, we have to look at the shortcuts consumers use to stay comfortable. In 1957, Leon Festinger introduced cognitive dissonance theory. This scale shows the core conflict: knowledge that smoking kills versus the physical habit of smoking. This collision creates psychological tension. To resolve it, humans take the path of least resistance. Instead of changing behavior, the brain modifies its beliefs, artificially leveling the scale. Advertisers often provide the ready-made logic for this process. This billboard focuses on mildness, helping consumers convince themselves they are avoiding known risks. Some go further, attempting to erase the mental conflict through a pattern called the vigorous smoker paradox. These individuals maintained strict exercise routines and healthy diets, using physical overcompensation to build a psychological defense that justifies their continued substance use. The brain will effectively rewrite its own internal logic, prioritizing immediate chemical comfort over the difficult work of accepting a painful truth. The abstainer works without these mental shortcuts. Without a chemical valve to release tension, they process environmental stress in its raw form. This often stems from high threat sensitivity, seen in traumatized observers requiring sharp senses for safety, or social rebels who value personal autonomy more than group approval. Their presence creates friction, because a group sharing a chemical release valve often feels judged by the person who refuses to join the trance. Sociologists call the management of this hostility identity refusal. This paper outlines how non-drinkers navigate social spaces where their choice is viewed with suspicion. The tactics generally split into two paths. Disconnect talk allows an abstainer to verbally separate themselves from the boring stereotypes, while concealment talk involves silent camouflage, ordering a drink that looks like alcohol to avoid a confrontation. For the abstainer, standing at a party is an exhausting tactical operation. They constantly read micro-expressions and manage group insecurities just to maintain their boundaries. Carl Jung looked past the social awkwardness to find a deeper spiritual friction. He used the phrase spiritus contra spiritum, spirit against spirit, suggesting that substances are often a counterfeit for a genuine search for wholeness. Jung observed that drinkers often engage in shadow projection. They take their own buried fears and offload them onto the person who isn't drinking. Calling an abstainer boring is projecting their own fear of being uninteresting without a substance. Jung used the metaphor of the vas hermeticum, a sealed vessel. Refusing to vent stress chemically forces pressure to stay inside. Holding this tension integrates raw reality. This creates conditions for psychological transformation when the escape hatch is closed. This process strengthens an internal locus of control. These individuals develop a resilience rooted in self-awareness, functioning without the emotional cushion that substances provide. In a culture built on cognitive shortcuts and numbing agents, choosing to stay awake is a grueling achievement. It requires facing the full weight of existence without a shortcut to comfort.